So we want to show you a comparison of prokaryote versus eukaryotic organisms. The size of most prokaryotic organisms is much smaller. It's about 0.2 microns in diameter and somewhere between 1 and 10 microns in length. Eukaryotic cells are much larger, much larger. And size is limited by the ability to transport things into and out of the cell for prokaryotic organisms because they don't have membrane-bound organelles. Cell wall structure in prokaryotic organisms, many of them have peptidoglycan. Some don't. They have different things, or they don't have one at all. But for the most part, they all have peptidoglycan. For eukaryotic cells, like animals don't have a cell wall structure, but plants do and some fungi do. So plants have cellulose and some fungi have chitin. Bacteria have, your prokaryotes have no membrane-bound nucleus, but they do have a circular chromosome. Now, there's a difference between nucleus, which is the membrane that contains the genetic material, and the presence of a chromosome. So the eukaryotes have a membrane-bound nucleus, the circular chromosome in prokaryotes, a linear chromosome in eukaryotes. Reproduction in bacteria is usually through binary fission. They grow to a certain size, they divide in half, make 2 babies, and they grow up to a certain size and divide in half. For eukaryotic organisms are known to reproduce asexually and sexually, but not through a binary fission-like process. The ribosomes in prokaryotes are 70S, where in eukaryotes they're 80S, except inside the mitochondria, and that's the topic for another slide. Bacteria are typically haploid organisms, meaning that all of their genes have 1 copy each on their chromosome. But in some cases, if they have a plasmid, which is a small extracellular piece of DNA that contains another allelic type of a gene, then they can have diploid tendencies. But for the most part, you think of prokaryotic organisms being haploid and eukaryotic organisms as being diploid, meaning that they have 2 genes for every trait.